The Apollo missions landed men on the moon for the very first time. The fourth of those missions in July 1971 was Apollo 15, and it was the first in many ways. The first to use the lunar rover, and the first to bring back crystal clear pictures of the lunar surface. Robert Livingston with more on this bit of space history and how a key part could actually be in your home very soon. The Apollo missions were very important missions. They're the missions that put man on the moon. One of the things that you have for us today, I don't even want to touch it because you've got the gloves to touch it, is this lens. Would you tell me about that?
Sure. This is a 500 millimeter Zeiss lens that was used on the surface of the moon by Commander David Scott of Apollo 15. It's probably the largest piece of space hardware in private hands. Everything else would be in the Smithsonian. And this took over 300 photographs on the lunar surface.
Well, it kind of had to be specially adapted because they're wearing huge space gloves. The metal that it was made out of is important because they didn't want the temperature changes on the planet. So this is really more than just a memento. This is specially designed and created for this space mission. It's an amazing piece.
Well, he was wearing his spacesuit and his gloves. Plus, there was no viewfinder because they couldn't look down. So the astronauts were photographers. They studied photography before they went to the lunar surface. So he would point this on the moon, and because this is a telephoto lens, he could take close-up pictures of faraway ridge lines, and so he would use this lens to zoom in, and so it's quite significant and took some very famous photos. There's some great footage that we have of Dave using this lens, and there's a rock by his foot, and so he accidentally trips, and he's holding this lens.
Dave. Hang on. Yeah.
Not only was this on the lunar surface, it was on the lunar surface.
It was on the lunar surface.
Yeah, yeah. So I think when Dave returned to the command module, he took this tape and he taped up the lens to keep any lunar material that might have gotten onto the lens. It's a phenomenal piece and very rare, and a historically significant piece.
How many missions did that go on?
One.
One. Only one.
Yeah. See that? All the way across. Yeah.
And how many images did it take?
I think 393 images on a lunar surface in black and white.
Oh boy, what a view.
The way it could zoom in took some incredible photographs.
Taking a picture now of that bright, fresh crater just to the south of the Dam of St. George.
So what are some of the images that they were able to capture with this lens?
They had already planned out where they were going to photograph, where the sun was going to be, so they could set the aperture and focal length already. So it was pretty incredible. The missions were so planned out every second, so every photograph was predetermined.
And we know that Scott took the pictures. We have the images of him taking them.
Frame number, Dave.
Yeah. Oh, frame number 76.
Okay.
Photography was a major part of his mission. You know, he was the first guy to drive the lunar rover.
Yeah. You don't have a lunar rover in this thing, do you?
We do have a prototype.
Wait, you can buy a prototype of a lunar rover?
Yeah, it was found in a junkyard in Huntsville, Alabama, and we have it. So it's one of a kind. I don't think the other ones are on the surface of the moon.
That's fantastic. You've got a couple of other things here, and right away, I recognize what this is. From being a kid in the 60s, that's space food.
This is pea soup, and this was packed in 1968. And on Apollo, they would put water in it, and then they would squeeze it out and eat it. This is Frosted Flakes, but there wasn't milk, so they would put cold water and eat their cereal.
No. But you eat what you got to eat.
Can you imagine? I mean, they launched a man and put him on the moon, and they came home again. And this is without real computers.
Right.
There are no computers, right? I mean, they flew with charts, and they flew with manuals. They had a very primitive onboard computer. It's amazing what they accomplished.
This, I have no idea what it is, but it looks like it would drive something.
This is a translational rotation handle that the command module pilot would use to reconnect with the lunar module. So he would fly.
Are you kidding me?
He would fly the command module with this. It would be here.
Yeah.
And this wasn't used. This was surplus. You know, what happened was when they started the shuttle program, there was all this surplus material that was built for Apollo. They had to get rid of it because they needed the warehouse space. So you could buy palletfuls of Apollo materials for not a lot of money. This goes for like $10,000 or $15,000 now, just that one piece.
I think new generations are interested in space just like I was in the 60s. So I think it's back again in a very big way.
The auction is April 21st in Boston, and it's on our website, rrauction.com, or you can bid online, or you can call us and bid. It's great stuff. So, if you ever want to start a collection of, the second half of the 20th century's biggest achievement, you should buy some things from the space program.
Now this is the catalog of the auction, but even cooler than that, each piece will come with a letter from the astronaut, and if it's been in space, it'll have a serial number on it that was actually included on the stowage list, NASA's stowage list, to prove that it was in space.